Who is the next Mikhail Tal? If I ask you this question, what will be the answer? I know the answer of it. Then the answer would be Ratnakaran Kantholi is the next Mikhail Tal. This game is from the second Goa GM International played in 2019, and yep, before this coronavirus happened. And this game is so interesting that you will just love Ratnakaran. He's After watching his game, you will feel like it's his game style is pretty much similar than Mikhail Tal. Yeah, perhaps he's the next Mikhail Tal of this 21st century. Uh, this game is just too interesting. You will just love Mikhail Tal. If you love Mikhail Tal, then you will definitely love Ratnakar. We know that Mikhail Tal was an aggressive player. He likes to play very attacking chess, merciless chess. Yep, so we expect same from the Ratnakaran. Yep, so this game is between Mikheil, a Georgian Grandmaster, versus Kantholi Ratnakaran. Kantholi Ratnakaran is currently an international master, fighting for the GM title. Okay, so this game is from the 2019 second Goa GM International match, played in June 2019. Okay, so let's check it out this game without any further ado. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Chess Vibes. So, Mikheil with the white pieces started the game with 1c4, and Ratnakaran with the black pieces replied with e5. So we have the English opening: knight c3, knight c6, knight f3, and now we have f5 already. Yep, already f5, very attacking chess by Ratnakaran. Usually in this position, black likes to go for knight f6, perhaps bishop to b4, perhaps even bishop c5, perhaps d6, perhaps b6. But he went for f5, a very attacking move already. Black is already planning to play e4 in the future. So white played g3, we have knight to f6, and now we have d4 by white. So white is asking, what do you want to do? Do you want to capture the pawn? Do you want to push the pawn? Do you want to play something else? So Ratnakaran decides to push the pawn to e4, hitting the knight on f3. We have knight to h4 by white, and now we have d5 by Ratnakaran. Yep, just going for the center, just blocking the center. And here white played bishop to g5, developing the bishop. So Ratnakaran goes for the same, developing the bishop on b4, and now we have king to d5. After king to d5, white simply captured the pawn, and here's actually the first question for you. The most crucial move, the most crucial moment. Feel free to pause the video and try to find the move which Ratnakaran played. Okay, I'm not saying that try to find the move which is the best move according to the engine, but try to find the move which Ratnakaran would play. Just imagine Mikhail Tal. Okay, and now let's try to find the move. Okay, so I think that you must have had a nice deep thought, and you have already came to that conclusion that if it's Mikhail Tal, he will definitely sacrifice something, and he will go for knight into d5. Epic. According to engine, the most natural move is definitely to capture the pawn on d5 with the queen, and after bishop into f6, g into f6, white is slightly better but definitely a playable position. White knight cannot capture the queen because white knight cannot capture black queen because the knight is pinned. Okay, definitely if it's Mikhail Tal and if it's Ratnakaran, he would go for this knight into d5, and Ratnakaran simply played it. And after knight into d5, if you notice something, the queen is hanging on d8 for free. So Georgian GM simply grabbed the queen. We have knight into c3, and now we have queen b3. You cannot capture the knight on c3 because after bishop into c3 check, the queen is forced to come on d2, and after bishop into d2 check, king into d2, king into d8. Just calculate the material. Black is a pawn up, having a very nice center. It's winning for black already. So, at the place of playing b into c3. Georgian GM played queen to b3. And now the threat is to capture the knight with the pawn. So black played knight into e2 check with a bishop. You cannot capture the bishop because the knight is protecting it. And the king cannot capture the knight because knight into d4 check, the queen is hanging. So white is forced to play king to d1. And now we have knight into d4, hitting the queen. And here we have queen e3. And after queen e3, we can see the most natural move in the position is to looks like to capture the bishop on d8. Yep, at least grab 2 pieces for a queen so that it would be looking like a worth for it. But Ratnakaran is like Mikhail Tal. He plays bishop to e6, merciless chess. He's saying, okay, I'm not going to capture a bishop so easily. But after developing my pieces, now I'm going to capture a bishop. I'm not going to compromise with my development. I'm going to first develop my pieces. So after bishop e6, definitely black is planning to capture the bishop on d8 now with a tempo because the king would be attacked as well. So white simply grabbed his bishop back to g5. And actually at the place of playing bg5, a much better move would have been to capture the pawn on c7. But definitely Georgian GM would be afraid of playing after this rook c8. The bishop is attacked. Perhaps black can play short castle, grab his another rook, and it's already very deadly for white. So white played bishop g5, most natural move. h6, hitting the bishop. And after h6 here, Mikheil with the white pieces thought that, okay, if he tries to play bishop f4, g5 is coming in, the bishop is attacked, the knight is attacked. Many options are coming up. So after h6, white decided to play bishop to f6. The idea is actually very important. After bishop f6, the idea here black is actually forced to capture the bishop if he wants to grab a free piece. Because white is now threatening to capture the pawn as well as the knight. So black is definitely forced to capture the bishop. And after capturing the bishop, you can see black is having a bit of a bad pawn structure. So this is what white wanted. So after g into f6, white played king f1. So he is trying to first make his king safe. Long castle, bishop to h3, double attack, but double protection. But here Ratnakaran played a bad move, playing bishop to c5. A much better move would have been in the position is to play rook d6. The idea is to play knight e5, and even the knight e3 is deadly. The rook is coming to c6. It's already very deadly for white. But black played bishop c5, and can you find this a nice tactic from the white side? I'm going to give you 2 seconds. 1, 2. Okay. So here comes small tactics. Bishop into f5. After bishop into f5, here if you try to capture the bishop with the bishop, knight is f5, knight into f5, the bishop is hanging on c5. But after bishop into f5, black captured with the knight, and here we have queen into c5. Okay, so white basically gained a pawn. Here we have knight into h4, g into h4, rook d4. Idea is to play rook c4, check, and the queen is hanging. White played b3, making a square for the king to run away and also covering the square on c4. Rook d8, grabbing the last piece into the game. Rook to b1, bishop to g4. Perhaps the idea could be to play rook d1 at some point. Perhaps the idea is to play first knight b4, hitting this pawn. Perhaps knight d3 are ideas, and after this knight b4, black can go for rook d1 perhaps. Here we have king to b2 by white. Knight b4, idea is to play knight d3 check, the queen is hanging. King to a1, and actually in this current position white is slightly better, but yeah, definitely black is practically speaking, it looks like black is doing fine actually. We have b6, hitting the queen on c5, queen to c3, and now we have c5 by white, black, just getting more space on the king side, on the queen side. We have a3, hitting the knight, Knight to d5, hitting the queen. Queen c1, h5. So just simply protecting the bishop on g4. We have rook to g1 by white. Perhaps the idea could be to play with this rook g3 idea, getting these crucial squares from the black side. Rook to d3. Idea is to perhaps capture the pawn. Queen to c4, protecting the pawn. Rook d4, queen c1, and rook d3. So I think perhaps Ratnakaran would be satisfied with a draw if white tries to play queen c4 again. He would have perhaps repeated the position. But what white thought here is, he's a queen. He's having a queen. Why should he draw? He plays this b4. Very tempting move. Yeah, black cannot capture the pawn because pawn is pinned. Yeah, the king is attacked. So black played knight c3. After knight c3, white played queen to b2 because he just sacrificed an exchange, because the knight on c3 is already very deadly for white. So it's better to give up an exchange and play this opening. So after rook into b1, we have rook to f3 by black. Now we have been to c5. After being to c5, an important move here. Black cannot capture the pawn because queen b7 is game over for black already. So after being to c5, black play rook to d3. Idea is to now capture the pawn on a3, and after queen into a3, rook into a3, it's winning for black. Okay, so here we have queen to b5, rook into a3 check, king to b2, and now we have bishop to g7. All those who are wondering what will happen if black tries to play this rook b3 check, and yep, and just take the queen. But if white lands in this position, just count the material. It's white is an exchange plus, and white is actually winning this endgame. Because after bishop being to c5, white can simply play king c4, grab this pawn. White is winning. So at the place of giving this check, black first played bishop d7, hitting the queen. We have queen c4, rook to a4, hitting the queen, queen g8 check, king b7, rook to d1, and now we have rook into f2, capturing a pawn and giving a check. King to b3, rook to f3 check once again, king to b2, and now we have rook to b4 check. And after rook b4 check, white played king to c1. And actually, after this rook to f3 check, there is an important crucial moment. White is actually having two squares. It's an equal position actually. White played king to b2, which was a blunder by white. If he would have played king c2, the game would have been, I think, ended in a draw. Perhaps Ratnakaran would have been repeated the position, but after king to b2, there comes a check, and the king is forced to go on the c file because on this first rank, because the reason is very simple. You cannot go to this king to c2 because bishop a4 check is coming, the rook is hanging, and it's already game over for white. And if white tries to play king c2, here black cannot play rook c4 or this rook a2 because the queen is guarding these two crucial squares. So that's the point. But white played this king b2, and he just simply allowed rook b4 check, and king c1, rook to c8, rook c3 check, king to d2, and black simply captured the pawn on c5, which was very important for white. After rook into c5, it's already better for black. King e1, bishop to a4. Idea is very simple. Black is hitting the rook. Queen f7 check, rook to c7, queen to d5 check, bishop c6, queen into h5, rook g7, rook to d6, and rook to b2. And on the move number 47, Georgian GM Mikheil with the white piece resigned the game, and Ratnakaran Kantholi with IM won the game on the move number 47. The reason is very simple, that Mikheil with the white pieces resigned the game. Just count the material. It's one rook versus one rook, and one rook and bishop versus the queen, and simply counter pawn. White is having 2 pawns, whereas black is having 4 pawns, and white is having 2 pawns on the same line, so it doesn't matter if we count it even one. White king is much vulnerable than black king. Black king is actually pretty safe. Black can play simply rook c7, and he can simply push his a pawn, and black would win the game. Yep. So that was the reason Mikhail with the white pieces resigned the game. And after watching this game, we can already say that it's very much like Ratnakaran was just playing like Mikhail Tal. He sacrificed the queen because in today's time, that every player likes to play this positional chess. Nobody likes to play this like sacrificing chess. Definitely, everyone likes this sacrificing chess, but yeah, it requires a high level of guts and yeah, pressure, steel of nerves of steel. But Ratnakaran just proves this. You can check out his games online, how he plays it, and you will get to know that he plays just like a Mikhail Tal level. He sacrifices everything, and he's not afraid of losing at all. So this was this awesome game between Ratnakaran versus Mikhail. If you like this game, then make sure to like this video, and if you're new to my channel, then make sure to subscribe this channel because it motivates me to upload new videos like this, which will help every chess fan in the world to improve his chess. Okay, so I'm going to come up with these more videos for this. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Chess Vibes.